Hey everybody, Steven here, and thank you guys so much for joining me for my live reaction slash review to the reprised Crota's End raid in Destiny 2. So, wanted to set some expectations at the top. I just have like bullet points, notes, so we're gonna just react. I had Caesar edit some footage together. Um, should be a pretty good time. I also should let you guys know that you should be following me on my Twitch, here on YouTube, over on my Instagram, and over on my Twitter. Everything is under Opit Steven. Give me a follow for any kind of updates, announcements, cancellations, etc., etc. Also, after this little intro that I'm going to be saying, we're going to have a 30-second ad spot for Up Top Treats. So stick around for that. I did the voiceover footage for that. It's a pretty good time. And then after that, we'll jump right into the video. But let's get started here. So, first of all, I want to set expectations. I'm not going to be going too much into the comparison of Crota's End in D1 and D2. I am going to mention it, especially since Crota's End was the first or the raid that I completed the most in Destiny 1. It's a little unsure. I might have gotten Vault of Glass done first. However, it's the one I remember doing first and completing, and probably completing a couple times. So I do have a lot of sentimental value for it. So there is going to be a little rose colored glasses with this raid, especially the D2 version. Spoiler alert, I think it was a pretty positive experience, and I do enjoy the raid quite a bit. Okay, so overall, obviously, I liked it. I think actually one of the coolest things was the day one or 48-hour slash contest mode experience was great. I know we dealt with some technological issues with people not getting their triumphs, and that is a shame. However, the raid itself was stable, at least in my experience, and it was a really good time. The difficulty felt way turned up from Root of Nightmares, which I thought was great. It actually, I was able to participate on day one for about 6 hours. Did not get past the first encounter. I want to let everyone know, but I did have a blast doing it. All right. Obviously, with any kind of review, guys, my opinion is subjective and my own. Be respectful in the comments section about anyone that may feel differently or may feel the same, because I think it's cool that we should let people just have their own opinion. It could differ. It probably will differ from mine and other people's. Be respectful in the comments, but let's have a discussion in the comments. What did you guys think about this compared to Destiny 1's version of the raid? And what did you just think about it standalone in D2? And especially since we're a couple weeks on from it now. That's why I wanted to wait. Now, before we get into the video, here is a quick little word from Up Top Treats. Hey everyone, today's video is brought to you by Up Top Treats. Up Top Treats is a family, woman, and veteran-owned freeze-dried candy company based in Colorado. They're a candy mix for a delicious treat no matter the adventure. Whether you're gaming, hiking, on the go, or just hanging out at home, you can find Up Top Treats on Amazon, TikTok Shop, or by searching Up Top Treats on Google. Elevate your snack game by snagging yourself some delicious candy. Now let's get to the video. All right, well that was fun. Okay, let's get ourselves into the video here. Let me play it. Alrighty, so obviously I liked the introduction. I liked dropping in right here where you kind of had a you almost had this like feeling that you thought you knew where it was going to go, and I did enjoy the chalice popping up right there. Again, I'm going to be reacting kind of as I see it because it's been a little bit Zane dying in the background, but I did enjoy the plate mechanic and how it introduced it, because it does a really good job of setting you up about this main mechanic throughout the entirety of the raid. It's like in every encounter, it's important no matter what, and I think this was just a really cool way to introduce it. You know, it's in a controlled environment. You've got, you got enemies coming over, so when you take them down, you can charge your Chalice of Light faster. I'm also going to kind of be assuming that you guys know the mechanics. If not, I guess I can give a very brief overview right at the start here. The whole point of almost everything in this raid is to charge the Chalice of Light and either dunk it into a plate or to get the Enlightened buff to pick up or interact with something else in the raid, whether it's the swords in the bridge encounter or the Oversoul in Crota, or in this case, you're dunking it into the plate to speed up the process of building the bridge, that kind of stuff. I think this is a more interesting take than D1, because on D1 it was just stand on the plate till the bridge is formed and then drop into the abyss, which, you know, it did its job in, what, 2015? No. Yes. Whenever the Dark Below came out, it did its job. I thought Bungie did a fantastic job here. You got the red border statues in the background, which are pretty cool to have too. I can't really see them all that well in this footage. But yeah, it was nice to have them there so you could get an early spot at the beginning of the raid. They looked cool, whatever. There's going to be some time when I'm just going to have to let the footage play in the background because I kind of ran out of things to say. All right, so now we're dropping to the Abyss, which was a heck of a drop. I actually thought it was longer than in D1. You know, with whatever you guys want to say about that, I guess, you know, you're going down, down, deep down. This next encounter is really going to be interesting where we dig into this, because this is where, like, I actually feel like one of the most significant changes was, and when I personally struggled in the first encounter. All right, the Abyss. So basically, just to kind of lightly explain, you want to grab the chalice, let that chalice of light charge up. Someone needs to take it from you before a secondary debuff counts down and kills you. And you kind of swap the buffs. You get enlightened, and then you use that to enlighten a lantern. Caesar's cut around here because this encounter does take a little bit of time. I really loved the rework. It felt hectic and more oppressive, which I think you should have with the Weight of Darkness debuff and the Drained of Light debuff, where after you pick up the chalice and after you get enlightened and everything, no matter what, you get that debuff. So you can't just like have two people going back and forth the chalice. Everyone needs to be involved in this. It's nice that you can't just have somebody like, oh, you know, we're going to have two people take the chalice and light the lamps and get rid of the Weight of Darkness and all that kind of stuff. You have to have most of the team, if not all the team, cycle through it. The way we did it, and again, we didn't get this done on D1, or sorry, not excuse me, we didn't get this one on day one, or contest mode is what I should really be saying. It was a great, you know, add density, awesome. You know, it does suck that in the background, as you can see on our footage, we have very few enemies. And that is because Caesar, if you can see in the upper right corner right there, Depression Adept, is he hopped up there and he was hanging out over there, and it despawns and pulls the enemies towards him. So we weren't getting more than like these yellow bar blistered thrall until like the night started showing up and until we got towards the end there. So there is a way to cheese the enemies to despawn them or to hold them in a location. That is a bit of a bummer, but you know, it's not necessary to do. It's just a nice thing to have if you're trying to get through this area quickly. I did love the addition of the spike balls, the maces coming through. I thought that was an awesome wrench in the plan when we were expecting just, you know, the holes and the darkness and the Weight of Darkness and all that kind of stuff. Strand, as you can see, I just used in the background, can kind of get you through this encounter a lot easier. Being amplified helps quite a bit. I do enjoy how it punished the well skate and shatter skate people if they weren't very accurate, or if they didn't know how to choose it, like the time to use it appropriately. They would either get you guys killed or they would get themselves killed. I thought it was really funny because a bunch of my friends love to use it and abuse the ability. Once we got up to this part right here, I thought that this is when the encounter kind of dropped off a little bit for me in my excitement. I loved all the rework. I loved everything they did, and dunking the chalice back and forth and everything to the plate to speed it up is great. I did feel like with 6 Guardians there, you just tear through the ads. They needed a little bit more ad density, maybe a little bit more constant, you know, like people or ads coming through, people having to watch from all different sides and everything. The unstop ogres were a nice touch. I actually think you could use them a little more frequently. As in the next encounter, when I make a comment on barrier champions, I do feel like we could have had an unstop maybe at the rate that we got barriers in the bridge encounter. It did feel very trivialized if you throw, you know, Well of Radiance and everything there, and then you have 6 people just tearing in. So as you can see in the background, we started having people just go to the end. And so then it felt a little bit more hectic, as you could see, right as oh my gosh, as I get just absolutely smacked into oblivion. Yeah, it could use a little more hecticness and a little more enemy density, and I think it would be a pretty solid encounter. I do enjoy the rework. I like what they did with the entire thing, making the whole team work together and making a lot more going on than just Weight of Darkness, get away from lamp before it explodes. Thought it was a nice touch. As we move on into the blinding light of the second encounter. All right, the bridge. So, the bridge is conceptually the same as it was in D1, and that is, you're working in this mechanic, you're trying to build a bridge, you can only cross with a sword, or in this case also with the Chalice of Light. Now, that is about where the similarities end. They have a kill wall, so you can't skip over. As far as I know personally, as it stands right now, I don't know how to cheese your way over there. This encounter is all about becoming enlightened, balancing the chalice back and forth before people become enlightened, keeping the annihilator totems on each side from killing you guys, and basically killing a sword bearer, going over with a knight, killing a gatekeeper knight, I believe, and then holding that side. So it's just going back and forth. This encounter is my least favorite because it's slow, in my opinion, and it's a little finicky. It's very... I mean, it's a lot better than D1, because D1 was just a wait your turn, go over, kill, and that's it, and then everyone slay out at the end. I just, it's a little slow, you know. I could do with a little more interaction, maybe back and forth movement would be cool. I will say that the Gatekeeper Knights are beefy. I know on contest they were insane. Even on normal, they can give me trouble. Like, survivability is pretty important, actually, when you get over there, especially if you're the first person over there. Once you have one other person kill their gatekeeper on that side, it's a little easier to control the ads, so you're not getting like shot from behind. Once you're over on the side, as you can see, little boring. I feel like the large amount of barrier knight spawns one after the other are a little excessive. We probably could have toned that down. It's not too bad. It's fun having the slay out time at the end with all the gatekeepers. You need to get people enlightened so they can handle them, get a couple people, and then have everyone else focus. I will say tractor cannon makes this encounter a complete joke. So pro tip there, if you haven't been using tractor cannon, get somebody over there first, the very first person to cross. Tractor cannon, after the person kills their knight, have just tractor cannon constant on the gatekeepers all the way through the end. And it's an easy just smack them around, because it completely stuns them. It stun locks them. They're blinded. They can't hit you. Definitely my least favorite. Still not horrible. I do think we could have done with a little bit more, just a little bit more of like maybe carrying the buff back and forth. I don't know. Maybe swords, you have to use a certain combo, kind of like how they did with the Pit of Heresy dungeon, something along those lines. Because once you're done getting people over, you slay out some ogres on the sides, you take down some wizards, some barriers, and then you go out in the middle, you pass the chalice around while you can to get enlightened, so that way you can handle your knights. And it's just a little like, meh, you know, it's fine. It's fine. I like the rework more than I did in D1's version, so I guess that's a net improvement. So we'll take it, but I'm really struggling to say too much positive. I don't hate this encounter. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. As you can see in the background, you just melt everything. All right, as we're goofing around in the well. So this next part, I actually enjoy quite a lot. It's not even an encounter. It's more of a transition space. It's the hallway. You have to get enlightened after the Chalice of Light times out, and the person that's enlightened can go through the green shield in the back. They have to kill the Shrieker. That opens the door for the rest of your team. You rinse and repeat. Now, you still have to rush for the chest. People have been saying there's no chest. Guys, there's a chest. You just have to be fast enough, and you have to make sure that the Chalice of Light is dunked in at the end. Awesome rework of just running down the hallway and trying to race the timer. Love it, love it, love it. As you can see, I think we missed it here. All right. Now, transitioning to Iriut, the Death Singer. This encounter is about getting the people that need to be enlightened, you know, Chalice Light, pass it down. You guys need to be enlightened. You need to go through specific doorways in the encounter room that you can see. You're looking for a hive wizard. First phase of damage, 3 wizards. Second phase, 4 wizards. Third phase, 5 wizards. After that, you're donezo. As you can see in the background footage, I'm looking through right here. Wishender makes this easy. This is probably my favorite encounter, because in D1, if you remember, you just raced up the stairs, killed everything, and then killed the Death Singer before time expired. So it was really just like murder, murder, murder. In this, you got to take the Shriekers down to open that center room, give yourself some more space, spawn the wizards. You can cheese it by looking, as you can see, I have in the background Wishender to see if there's a wizard or a Shrieker. Love that. It's a little tricky to coordinate with your team, but I would honestly blame the team over the encounter. You need to make sure that your team is good communication and quick. So the mechanics itself is, that's how you bring everyone that needs to kill a wizard kills the wizard. That brings down that shield on Iriut. Then you do damage. There is damage gates, which I really like. It's like Caretaker. You have a highlighted white bar that you need to get down. Fun damage phase. Iriut is highly mobile, and I love that. Granted, you can trivialize that by tractor cannon or something along those lines. However, I just think getting to the point of damage where you pass through the doorway, you take down your wizard, you get down there, you start doing damage, she's bouncing around, you got to hit with like tractor or even like divinity is a phenomenal option for the crits. Linear fusions are king again. You can use rockets, you can use a bunch of fun stuff. I think this encounter is nice because it's fast paced. Now at the beginning, typically you grab the chalice from after you kill the 2 initial Shriekers, which behind me in the footage, those doorways, then you bring down that doorway. What we also do is we like to stay down in the starting room of this encounter, and we have somebody jump up and grab the chalice through the wall, or through the floor rather, and bring it down, and we sit in a conga line and we pass it off, and we get all but 1 person enlightened, and then after that we the last person with the chalice actually just dunks the chalice in the hold spot, and that way you have 2 enlightened people, so it takes less time for the next round if you need to second phase. So only 2 people have to get enlightened. Little pro tip there. That's something that we end up doing. Overall, the only really big critique I have on this encounter is I wish, as you can see in the radar up there, and I'm sure you heard 1,000 times, the radar is actually pretty pivotal to spotting whether it's a Shrieker or a wizard in the top or the bottom. Obviously, you can just look in, but as you can see, the pillar blocks your path. Wishender is a cheat mode. I've said that like 3 times, but it really is a cheat mode. Other than that, you guys, like, I wish they could make the visibility a little clearer. Maybe make them travel a bit more, like the wizards. Leave the Shriekers static, but let the wizards travel more. That's my only critique. Make it a little easier, because you do have a limited time limit, and I know it can be pretty stressful if you don't get it done. But awesome encounter. Love the rework, and this one's one of my favorites, honestly. Okay, you guys. You've waited for it. You're here for it. You've waited for it. Crota. So, the whole overview here is you need to take turns getting people the chalice. They need to be enlightened. They can pick up a sword. That's how you take down Crota's shield, and then you do damage to Crota. Now, the bugaboo is the presence of Crota in D1 used to keep you from regenning health, and the chalice was how you regen health. In this encounter, you will regen health, but the chalice must be switched off in glowing pools of light around the arena that spawn randomly. I think you'll be able to see it pop up somewhere in the footage. Also, you need 2 people to take care of the Boomer Knights in the left and right towers. They are pivotal. That's what spawns, I believe, sword bearers. Could be wrong on that, but they are very pivotal. Also, even if they didn't spawn sword bearers, they will just nuke you. So those guys got to be taken care of. As you can see in the background footage, Rachel is up there taking care of the Boomer Knights. We are moving the chalice off, I just grabbed a sword. I will hold on to that sword till we are ready to take Crota's shield down. We like to go with at least 3. 2 is possible. All right. This is my second favorite encounter. D1 was pathetic in my opinion. You stood back, you stunned with rockets, and then you did 3 sword slams, and then you rinsed and repeat till he was dead. This, on the other hand, feels like a battle with a hive god. It's like how they went and changed Oryx in the King's Fall rework. It feels actually like you're taking on this hive god, which I love. Crota is a monster, literally and figuratively. He is so dangerous. We try to stay as far away as possible because he can beam you down in a second. He can slam you. This guy can break wells. It's amazing. He is a fantastic, fantastic boss. I love actually dealing damage with our weapons instead of like, just throwing random, sword swipes at him with one person. The Oversoul being a pretty cool way to end damage early, even though you don't want to do that, but also timing that down to like 3 to 2 seconds is a great time as well. I love that. The pit is what we're calling where you see me running around right now in the footage, and I think that thing can actually be menacing. Those wizards are non-stop spawns almost, and those ogres can actually sneak up on you. The sword bearers are just no joke either. The exploding thrall, I think the pit is a fantastic, you got to be on your toes. It just feels epic. The entire experience just feels like you're taking on Crota, and you're trying to, you're trying with every possible fiber of your power to take him out. Granted, now that you get the rotations in after you've ran it a few times, I do think that the pit can be managed a little bit easier. The ogres can get kind of spawn killed, and the wizards can as well. But you always got to have your head on a swivel, because at any point those boomer knights and Crota are just ready to drown you in lightning. And I think that is such a cool idea. As you can see, we're pulling up right now for damage. So we're gonna pop his shield. I believe we go light, heavy, super heavy on the swords, and then you just let him have it. Obviously, Lament is a great option. Fusion rifles can put some work in. I know Acrius is a decent option as well. Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, he's threatening. He's breaking wells left and right. See, I think right there, he actually just broke our well. I don't think we've ever got through a damage phase with everyone living, if I'm being honest. It just feels great. Well, yep, no. Okay, so Caesar got killed there. All right, yeah, so, I mean, Oryx, it's great. It can go quick, too. If you've got a good team, you can speed this up and have a blast. I'll say this last little bit. It does feel a little glitchy at times. There's times when, just stuff doesn't really operate. Maybe the Oversoul doesn't go down when it should. Crota he pulled our Ethernet cable one time. It was hilarious. The final stand itself, though, is a hectic and incredible thing. And I'm actually going to, let you guys watch what happens in the background, because we actually have a pretty cool little thing that Caesar put in about this particular run. I think that really ties up everything about Crota, and mostly a lot of the stuff about the raid. And I will say the Necrochasm thing, they're buffing the Essence of Oversoul drop, so we're all good there. I do like that we're not relying on RNG for a raid exotic. You gotta bust your ass in the raid. That feels great. Yeah, guys, I do genuinely think that they brought this back, and it was pretty much everything I could have asked for. I know everyone was memeing that this was going to be a dungeon, and that, why would they bring Crota back? It's just a friggin' joke. But guys, they kicked our ass, and I think that's how it should be. That's how day one raids should be. That's how contest mode should be. That's how when they introduce a new endgame activity, it should just smack us around for at least a week, right? And then we find out, premium and optimal damage spots and weapons and builds and ways to kind of get a couple extra seconds of damage out of the encounters, all that. Crota's end in D2 is an absolute triumph, and I think it's just a really cool showing, and I'm really could not be happier with the product. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. That second encounter really kills it for me. But guys, I think I think that's about it for me. I think I'm just going to let the rest of this video play out and say huge thanks to Caesar, huge thanks to Shin for doing the thumbnail. Guys, enjoy Crota's End, and we're going to have to see you on the next one. And I'm going to watch with you because I think Caesar had a blast with this. Hold on. We're doing damage. Doing damage. I was going to leave, but I have to watch this with you. You can see I clipped it. Oh, beautiful. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Huge shout out to Shin and Caesar, per usual, for doing all my work for me, basically, as I just talk into the microphone. In the comments, let me know what you think about Crota's End in D2. Be respectful. Like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. Peace.